mean by ant? What is that? What is an ant? Give away a bottle of burp? I still have not sealed this bathwater keycap. I really need to though, because it might evaporate and it'll lose all of its value. They'll shoot, but maybe not with bullets. Okay, we're using Hootie. Okay, Hootie. We're using Hootie, I guess. Okay, should I just do one build? What is it? We're 1 hour and 14 minutes in. Should I just do one build or should I do two? The other one will be a half plate build. Oh, this sounds bussin'. What a unique sounding board. Absolutely unique. And don't you know how sweet it tastes? How sweet it tastes. And don't you know how sweet it tastes? They might shoot, but not with bullets. They are so peaceful, you know? They're the most peaceful people I know. Without you. And then I got you, how sweet it tastes. And don't you know how sweet it tastes. Is this good? How sweet it tastes. Hell yeah, Red Bull. Ringo, yes, Red Bull. Very excited. You are coming to Austin to do some tattoo work, is that correct? I want to get an anime tattoo. I know you do anime tattoos. I want to get a gay Naruto and Sasuke tattoo. I want to get a really gay tattoo. Let's see, what is this? This goes like that. Red Bull, dancing. Cine is a short form of Sunuvia. Cine is a short form of Suniva. Is that like Princess of Genovia shit or something? Is Genovia real? Can someone tell me if the Princess of Genovia is a real thing? I really hope I'm not disappointed. I really hope it's a real thing. Got a G chord. I like a nor. That's like a yeah. Did you what? Oh, hey. Did you what? Oh, hey. Da dee da dee dee ba. Is what's her face? Elsa? Is Elsa from Norway? Can someone confirm if Elsa's from Norway? Supernova, Nova. Can't stop. Hyper. Stella. Remember when they said Tsuyu affected the Taiwanese election? Oh my god, I bet though. That was such big news. Like, for those of you who, well, she's Chewy. But she fucking held up the Taiwanese flag and she got canceled, bro. She got canceled so hard. She was, she had to do an apology video. It looked like an ISIS. It looked like an ISIS fucking beheading video. It was crazy. And that influenced the election. And I think, what is it? Who is it? Tsai Ing-wen, right? Got elected. President Tsai. No, we love it. You love the music. Nobody. Should we just do one build? I might just do one build. Is that okay? Back hoot. Bring the light of a dying star. Buddha and I'll eat you. Let's see. DVD, bring it back. Heartbreaker. How far away? We're only 8 minutes behind. Hey, I decided I don't want it Milmax anymore. Can you change it? Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. You're not allowed to just change your mind like that, okay? I've already charged $4,000 to your bank account. You owe me $10 million, actually. Where's my, you owe me $800? Can you give me my $800 back? Taiwan #1. I saw a meme where I was like, I'm not arguing with no Big Bang stan. I'll let Korea's justice system handle that. What does that mean? I'm not arguing with no Big Bang. Frog hat! Oh my god, we have not had a hat redeem in a while, Elquan. Thank you. I still need to put my my cheese hat redeem. All right, we have a frog hat. Hold on. Let me make sure it's on correctly. All right. Frog hat! Our frog hat is on. Thank you, Oquan. I'm not arguing with no Big Bang stan. Oh, I thought, okay. Look, I thought that said like Bangtan, like BTS. I was like, why is BTS going to jail? Oh, fucking Jin is gonna be released in a few days. Jin. Do his fans call him Jin? Jin's gonna be back. Jin gonna be hugging people. Jin. Let's see. Oh, but yes. What's his face? What the fuck is his face? Sungri is like a creepo. Is a fucking creepo. Anyway, is that what it is? Better catch another flight. Apple butter, better wanna bite. I don't wanna give a dude night. I just wanna play a good night. Okay, what is happening? Bread roll stream? Yes, bread roll will be streaming. You know, she will not cancel on us last minute or whatsoever. You know, she will do it. Tell me now. Hey yeah, hey yeah, hey yeah. Okay, I'm getting distracted. Bread roll stream, yes. Frost bitch, no, never frost. Sweden own Norway. Frost redacted. Yes, we have to redact it. You know, we have a lot of frost witch sensitivities here. We have a lot of people who get very triggered by the words frost witch. All of you know who. You know who gets extremely triggered. He is outraged, frankly. He is always constantly outraged, okay? He's always in a state of outrage. Both own Norway at different times. Pretty rude of them. I'm very pro kill the rich. You're not telling me you would kill Daddy Bezos. I love Daddy Bezos. I love Amazon. I love ordering from Amazon. I love my one-day delivery. I think Jeff Bezos should be the president of the United States, you know? Who would be worse as a president, Jeff Bezos or Donald Trump? I think we all know. Y'all would take Jefferson over Trump. You would take Orange Man bad. You know, Orange Man bad. You would take Daddy Bezos over Orange Man, right? Hey, redacted. Where the fuck is where is it? G? There you go. This is very like low pitch. This is like, okay, there you go. I'm debating if I want to do another build. I'm debating if I want to do another build or we should just end it. Prediction? Oh god. I kind of wanted to do another build because I did want to try it out. Prediction? Prediction. Start prediction. Okay, typing test prediction is up. Please send your predictions in. Okay, good work in front of my salad. I want a new tattoo. I really want a new tattoo too. The one I want. Let me see if I can find it. Hey, okay, typing test prediction is up. This is so like, the brass really makes it like low pitched. At least a space bar. Very unique sounding space bar. OTYTY, I made it this time. All is well. I'm doing so very, oh, what the fuck just dropped on the ground? Anyway, I'm doing lovely, you know, never been better in my entire life. You know, frankly, my dear, I'm thriving. You know, I'm just like thriving. Is this working? Okay, everything is working. God bless America. What are we doing? Welcome OTY. Then I'm trying to find that gay tattoo. Naruto, this is what I want. Naruto and Sasuke, and they're about to kiss at the last valley, or the final valley. First time. Let's see. Where's it? This one. I want this tattoo. This is like one of the, I think this is the gayest Naruto scene. I want this one. This is what I want, but black and white. Tell me that is not gay. They're both dripping wet. He's about to kiss him. The sexual tension here is insane. Listen, the sexual tension this entire fight, like they are gay lovers. They've been gay lovers. They've been gay. Is there like I'm sure there's like Naruto Sasuke. Is there like stuff of them like kissing? Naruto Sasuke. Their first kiss. Each other's first kiss. This is canon. Look at this. That's not real, but they actually they kissed twice. I have a fucking wrist. Maybe actually I should get this as my next tattoo. Okay, can we get the typing test prediction? But yes. Oh wait, we already have the typing test prediction. Anyway, get your typing test predictions in. No, it's not a real country, Genovia. If Genovia was a real country, which country would it be? Also, is Elsa, where's Elsa from? Let's see, frozen heavily by Norwegian cultures and traditions. Do you feel like, okay, so when I watch Mulan, I feel very represented. You know, like Disney, they did their job. They were like, we gotta represent the little Asian, we gotta represent the little East Asian girls. You know, we gotta represent them. And I felt very represented. And I'm wondering, my question to you is, do you feel represented by Elsa and Anna? It's not Anna, it's Anna with a long A, Anna. And, you know, like the little Southeast Asian little girlies, they were represented by Raya. You know, Raya, who basically is in love with that dyke from the movie with the shaved head that kind of looks like me. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Raya, lesbian. Look, Kelly Tran, this is the lesbian. They're literally in love with each other. This is the lesbian from Raya. I feel very connected to this character. They're basically gay. I could cosplay as this. Actually, when I went to Disney, for like, not the last time I went to Disney, but the last time, there was someone cosplaying as Raya, or there were a cast member as Raya, and they were so rude to me. I was asking her about her gay lover, and she was very rude to me, you know? Very, very much not very Disney-like. G-giving? Thank you, girl gang. Welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Okay, I think we should end the typing test prediction because I want to get on with this typing test. Can we get on with it? Prediction. How do I end it? Oh, this P is not working. The P is not working. The P is not giving. Is it bent? Is the P bent? The P is bent. Is it not giving? Did I not solder this on? Fuck my holes. Fuck my holes. This key is not working. Okay, I lied. Okay, I'm gonna have to see what's going on with this. I have to fucking get rid of this. Hydration said hi. Hello, Hydration, my brother. My twin brother. Okay, maybe I should have tested the PCB before screwing everything in. You know, that's my fault. But, you know, who would have the foresight to test the PCB is my real question. No one has the fucking foresight. Like, literally no one has encountered any issues. Okay. We're unscrewing. We're unscrewing. They serve too much cunt. BTS served too much cunt. Is that right? Did they serve cunt? Who's the most cunty member of BTS? Who's like the most like cunty? I think V is very cunty. V gives like cunt vibes. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. V gives cunt vibes. Okay, what's going on here? Did I fuck this up? I hope I did. Why is this not working? Why is this not working? Let me plug this in again. It's literally soldered on. Okay, hold on. Let me test this. They serve too much cunt. My Jenny's gonna be back. Congratulations, Jenny. Jenny? Kim Jenny? Okay. What are we doing? Key tester? For whatever reason, this is not working. Maybe a different switch, perhaps? Perhaps the P is not working because we need a different switch, okay? We need a different switch to make sure the P piece is hard and works. It's literally not working. For what reason? Why is this not working? The P is not giving. Why is the P not serving? Oh God, I'm gonna kill myself. This is it. Bitch, why is it not working? It's literally, I have it soldered on perfectly. I'm gonna kill myself. There is no way, bitch. There is no way. There is no way this bitch is not working. There's no way this bitch is not working. When I go home tonight. Yeah, the whole Burning Sun scandal. Speaking of Burning Sun, isn't Zico involved in the Burning Sun scandal? Spat, 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 spat. Why is this shit not working? Oh God, I fucked it. Is it not working? I am so shocked that this key is not working. Hold on, let me try a different switch. Oh my God! The P is not working. People get saying Jin will burst out the Lulu bubble and he comes back and hugs everyone. You guys are Delulu. Crazy Delulus. You know, the Delulus be crazy. At home tonight. All right. And we're down at home to party. The P is not working. The P is not hard. Yo, what the fuck? What the fuck happened? Okay, hold up. What's your MBTI? What do you guys think it is? Are you guys asking me what my MBTI is? Oh god, this is making a really annoying sound. Are y'all asking what my MBTI is? Let me see. Consent is important. Is she an FP? Vom. What's my MBTI? What do you think? What do you think my MBTI is? What do y'all think? You think I'm an INFP? You think I'm an INFP? I need y'all to guess. Okay, wait, I gotta... Why is there a fucking Nazi symbol here? What is going on? What? Why is this P... Oh! Why is the P not working? Tonight. Why is the P... The P is not working, like, dead ass. I have no idea why it's not working. Do I need to, like... Oh, God. We're fucked, mate. We're fucked, mate. We're fucked. We're absolutely fucked, mate. Good thing it's only the key circles board. You know? Let me see. Hold up. Do I need to... Is this the key? Is this the key that's not working? Hold on. Wait, I think I might fix it. Okay, I know what it is. Whatever happened here. It might be that the key circle probably fucked it up while he was desoldering. Honestly, I think it's his fault and I can just bridge it. I'm a fucking genius. Send me all your PCBs. I'm an electrical engineering genius. Where's the wire? Here. I've got a wire here and I can fix it. I can fix it, mate. Okay, listen, we're not doing a second build. Let's be real. Let's be honest. Where are my lesies at? Where's my dyke mom, Nuckenfuts? My dykey mom is not here. Okay, listen, I'm an intellectual. Let's cut this. Let's cut this like that, right? I'm in fucking intellectual, okay? I don't need a man to tell me, okay, how to fix shit. Do you know who I am? I'm Nainasi. Everyone who keeps giving Jin... Okay, let me reach out while I'm trying to fix this. Okay, what's happening? Miyu and me both, Kryzen International Army. Oh my god, you poor army. Poor army. I feel awful for you, army. Army Hammer. Do you think Army Hammer is an army? Ami. They don't say army, they say Ami. Oh fuck, what the fuck just happened? Oh god, I have to get a new cable. Okay, watch me, because I'm truly one of the geniuses of all time, okay? Strip! Oh, we're gonna... What is this? This goes like this. And then we're gonna cut it here. Okay, and we're gonna strip it here. We're gonna strip it. We're stripping. Okay, there. Listen, I'm a genius. No one's ever done it like me, okay? No one has ever. I invented electricity. Okay. All right, let me test one more time. This is what goes here. Like, this goes here. Is that right? Hold on. Okay. Johnny in a love dub and being a pure honey's on my. Okay. We fixed it. Cunty Richard Rock with a handbag. Okay, what's happening? Get to buff Jin? Excuse me. You get to hug me. I think that's more of a win. I think that's more of a win. Did we fix it? Am I a genius? Am I a genius? I think I might be a genius. I fixed it. I'm literally a genius, and like, you guys can just... I did that. I did that, and I didn't even panic. Let's see. What's worth per minute? Why is words per minute lower? Excuse me. Why is butts lower? I think it was 122. She's regressing. I'm glad nothing has changed with the Omega. I am still very Omega delayed, especially with me not testing this PCB as per always. Okay, yeah. And this time I won you snail. What is that emo? Hot, gay, soaking. It's like a Spider-Man kiss. MTV Best Award-winning kiss. Oh, you're talking about Naruto. Okay, yeah, Naruto, yes, they're gay. Homosexuals are turning up, you know? Homosexuals are running our country, you know? Joe Biden is a homo. I bet. I think that would be actually, I don't think the gays, would the gays claim Joe Biden? I don't think he would. I don't know. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't think Insty would claim him. Insty's a leftist, okay. Insty's a leftist, okay. Could be a Y18 novel. I could not believe that First Kiss was canon. I was shook. Elsa's from Michigan. I honestly do believe that Elsa's from Michigan. Is that crazy to think? Like, if all the Disney princesses were from different states, I really do feel like... No, Elsa's from Wisconsin. Genovia feels like Eastern Europe, is it? Princess Diaries said Genovia is a principality between France and Italy, often procured in Monaco. Princess of Monaco? Is that a thing? Wasn't Diana the Princess of Monaco? Am I wrong? Princess Diana was like a princess of Monaco? I thought she was the Princess of Monaco or something. Am I lying? Am I making that up? I can't tell. Is the Princess of Genovia real? I can't tell anymore. Genovia? I want to watch that. Anyway, Princess Diaries, you mean the P isn't working. Gotta have another surgery? The P, they cut my hole. Okay, anyway, we gotta do this typing test prediction. Okay, now that I fixed this, because I'm a genius. I'm literally a genius. Okay, side cam action. Balls action. Okay, balls in my mouth. Okay. All right, what are we doing? Okay, let's do monkey type. Pull this shit up. Lovely, lovely. You know, never been done before, ever. You know, this is the first time I'm doing something like this. Okay, monkey type. Monkey type. Okay. Here we go. This is the Victus Cine that you can buy for basically $40 and you 3D print away and you're good to go on the website. Okay. We have GMK Hootie with a new Captain Sterling dragging these nuts in your mouth switches. Is that what it's called? Dragon, Ghost Dragon? And then it's on a brass plate. Okay. Here we go. Oh, okay, we're starting over. Hold on. Hold on, we're starting over. There is no way! Dude. Bro. That's not real. It's not real. I'm edging. I have been edging. It's not fair to the people, honestly. The edging is just not fair. Should we do another build? Should we do another build and I give everyone a second chance? It's just too stiff for my liking. I like my PP a little soft. I like to work for it. Spacebar be deep. Hello, Sunny. Hello, BTS. V and Jimin are cunty. I do think I think V's a little bit more cunty though. Okay. Anyway, do a second build, and I'm gonna go really fast. I'm gonna do really fast. My P never gives. We're gonna go really fast on the second build, okay? Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? We're gonna go really, really fast. You know, time me. I think we can do the second build in like 15 minutes. All right, let's go. Let's go. We're speeding. We're speeding. My P never dies. There's pills for that. Anyone taking what do you call it? Viagra? Has anyone taken Viagra? What is your MBTI? SEXY? Isn't that like fucking like Elon Musk? How he names like the Tesla Model S, Model 3, Model X, and Model Y? Isn't that what they call it? Are you an Elon Musk fan? Is Musk like Musk is what is it? Where's the other screw? Oh, it's here. Is Musk like a Swedish name? I feel like Musk is like very Swedish. Musk? Who allowed him to do what he does? Who allowed him? Let's see. There's pills for that? Sorry. Vom? Why are you vomiting? Cute? I need an appointment. Cunt. Is she an FP? Y'all think I'm an FP? INFJ? You think I'm an INTJ? You guys still haven't guessed what I am. I thought y'all knew. I thought y'all knew my MBTI. You guys keep guessing. Keep guessing. I will give you a hint. I am introverted. You know, I am introverted. You know, I'm a shy little, I'm very shy, you know. I'm like very bottom energy. I know what you are. Say it. Say it. I need to make an appointment ASAP for cunt. I need to make a cunt appointment. I need to see my cuntologist, aka my gynecologist. I have not had my coochie examined in like 2 years. Who wants to examine it? Anyone? Any certified gynecologist want to examine the coochie? Okay, here we go. We're putting this to the side, and we're gonna do this rebuild really fast. Okay. All right. Tearing these keycaps off. Tearing these keycaps off. Okay. Should we do? I guess we should do another keycap set. Okay, let's do another keycap set. 47K go to the key circle and 6 others? Bro, I'm gonna have my redemption. I'm gonna have my redemption. I'll give you a hint. My MBTI is the same as Bread Roll's alt bias, which is me as well, but her alt bias, who is in BTS. If you guys can guess, GTA 6. In GTA 6, when is GTA 6 releasing? Didn't someone leak it or something? Where there's a will, there's a way. Where are the INF putts? There's a will. INFP, ISFP. Did you ask it politely, the PP? All right, putting this away. All right, okay, let's remove these switches. We're gonna go really fast, okay? We don't have much time. We don't have much time to waste, okay? Bam, bam. Come on, you guys. Let's go, lesbians. Come on, we gotta go really, really fast. We gotta end stream in 2 hours. We gotta end stream under 2 hours, y'all. This is like really serious. This is some really serious stuff because like there's people coming over to my house in like 18 minutes, and I'm gonna have to entertain them, and like I can't be streaming, and I have a lot of really, really important appointments to attend to in 18 minutes. So we really have to get through this really, really fast. And I also have so much stuff that I need to do with the court. You know, like the court is really asking me to do stuff, and the judge wants me to do stuff as well. And like I have to fight my cases, you know, I have to fight for justice. That's what I'm gonna be doing. Did you ask it politely? I'm going really, really fast. I'm going really fast, okay? We're going really fast. We're dragging these nuts out. We're dragging these nuts. Z, consent is important. Or complimented sweatly. INFJ. What are y'all's MBTIs? I know lots of introverts here. I don't think, is there a single fucking extrovert here? I don't think so. All y'all are, Insty's definitely an INTJ because he's fucking annoying. I'm just kidding. What? I mean, what? I'm a former INTJ. I'm a recovered INTJ. You don't say, I used to be an INTJ. You say, I'm a recovered INTJ. That's what it is. Oh, we got some extroverts, ENFJ and ENFP. Look at these people. Look at these extroverts spending time with us. Oh, thank you for gracing us with your presence, okay? Compliment sweaty, I'm INTJ. Oh, you're INTJ too? Kill it. I'm just kidding. What? Get so good! Are you gonna have a hard time wiring this switch? I don't ever had a hard time. The only hard time I have was with my caca. That's all. That's the hard time I have. Let's go emotional robots. Intellectual. Do you think you're intellectual? Do you actually think you're intellectual? Sheesh. Okay, we're gonna use these oak switches. Let's use these oak switches. And this is gonna be half plate hot swap. Is that okay? Is that okay, y'all? Yo, yeah, daddy bone, daddy body. Do that to chill bum. Do that to chill chow. Do that hot pop boom boom pow. Do that hot tap boom boom pow. Okay, what are we doing? Sheesh. Oh, did I bend this pin? Get a boom 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 boom. Pop pedals to the metal. Okay, what's happening? We rare. Asshole, what's your race and MBTI? Asshole, what's your race and MBTI? Can someone please tell me if Asshole's like part Asian? Like he has to be, right? I need it for my records. Can you please tell me where you're really from? Yes, exactly. Where are you really from? I need to know. Koala, can you please tell me? Intellectual, I'm down. Cult, mayhaps? Wait, who's also... Manic is an INTJ too? Oh my god. Kill them all. I'm just kidding. What? Do you know who I am? I'm just learning to use Chatson. What's Chatson? What is Chatson? Lure going to the post office? Enjoy post office? I think we should do a Switch giveaway at the end of the stream because I have too many fucking Switches, y'all. I need to make room. Let's give away some Switches, okay? Can you ship yourself to Oslo, Norway? I need Shoney's and Emiphobia to meet, and I need them to get married, actually. I need it. Ship yourself to me. Wow. You're US closer than Oslo. Love the Cine. Hello, Empo Jangles. Yes, I really like this board as well. It sounds really good. Sounds offended. Offended. Why did I say sounds offended? Why did I say that? What? I love to say, yes, it is indeed a very pleasant board. You know, one of the keyboards that, you know, really, you know, I love it. I love it. Yo, Plastic Bits, welcome in. Hello, welcome in, Plastic. Shout out to Plastic. You know, they spelled Edison wrong with those books. They meant nine. Well, I think Edison is with one D, right? Edison only has one D. I only have one D. One Direction, one Kaka. Who was y'all's bias in One Direction? I need to know. Did y'all have a bias in One Direction? Can we please start saying that? Instead of like, we need to start saying bias, using that term. That's the proper term, okay? They meant that I read your rock with the handbag. Win is a win. I do be winning for real. I'm glad you think you're winning. Look, we're doing fucking hot swap half plate, okay? I hope this is okay. Is this okay with y'all? Okay, what's happening? We don't claim him. Slap a homie. Oh, fucking Thursday. Liam is here. Hello, Liam. Welcome in. I hope you're having a lovely Pride Month so far. Hope everyone has a COVID-free Pride Month. Joe Biden is the biggest homo I know. He's a little dirty old gay man. I bet he's a dirty old gay man. Am I on like the FBI watch list or something if I call him gay? I bet there's a lot of people say cheap viewers, best viewers. Who blocked cheap viewers, best viewers? Slap a homie? Do cherry clipping stabs need shims with 1.2? Yes, they do. Knock. Yes. Yes, you do need shims for the cherry stabs. Yes, you do. But shims with clip-ins are kind of hard to do, not gonna lie. For 1.2, I usually get the TX 1.2 millimeter, or I just use screw-in stabs with the washers. I think that's the easiest, screw-in stab with washers. Only ones claiming Biden should be retirement home. Seriously, why are these people so old? Am I ageist? Am I ageist for saying he's a little bit old? Am I ageist? Am I a Republican if I say Joe Biden is too old? Okay, thank you. Thank you for saying I'm not a Republican. Wales? Genovia is not real? Wales? Genovia is Wales? Did she fix the P? I fixed the P by jumping it. I jumped it. I'm a very good person. Sounds pretty good, thank you. Roko, hee hee. One time inside to Gamba, I lose. I'm gonna win this time though. I think my nails are a little too long. I need to cut my nails, you know. Here we go. I was able to fix the P. The PP has been fixed. Okay. I am just amazing at fixing PCBs. I'm frankly a genius. You know why I'm so good? Because I break them all the time. Another build too. Okay, people want another build. I am doing another build. We're doing it really fast. We might be able to end in under 2 hours. Is that okay? That's my goal for each stream, to end under 2 hours because I hate it. I hate it here. Give me the key circle. The key circle's horrible. He is not supportive. He's a floppy, frankly. Frankly, he's floppy. I've edged for 7 hours. You edged for 7 hours once? Wait, how? Absolutely not a Musk fan. Apartheid Clyde. Is that what his name is? Oh god, Elon was okay and he went off the conservative deep end. Yeah. Grimes. What do y'all think about Grimes? What an interesting figure. Is she problematic? Do we hate her? Do we hate Grimes? Clap if you hate Grimes. Musk is an English surname. Musky, I know what you are. How the fuck will we know you're MBTI or Dutch? I've said it. Okay. ENFT is not even a real one. My MBTI is the same one as Hayden from New Jeans and Suga from BTS. That's all I'm gonna give you. Boliv, just bring them on stream. I'm blocking you. Can I bring the judge on stream? I love watching those fucking, like, court, like, what is it? The one that's like, stop talking, and he's like, Miss Toller. He's like, he was like, sorry, Miss Girl, and he's like, she's not a girl, it's Miss Toller, and she was like, Miss who? He's like, she's not a girl, she Judge Toller. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Am I being crazy right now? Do y'all know what I'm talking about right now? You betrayed us, banned from chat. One will try that button, dumb as hell. Where are you really from? What do you mean ban her from chat? What are you talking about? Can I be banned from my own chat? Can I be banned from streaming from my own chat by my mods? Is that possible? Because I would like that to happen. I really cannot wait for the day of my cancellation. You know, cancellation. Refund, baby. What's happening? Where's your heritage? Where your parents from? Your English is so good. I get that a lot. I get that my English is so good. I really do get that a lot. You know, do y'all think my English is good? Do I have accent? Type shit? You know, that type shit. Can you be efficient? Whatever the call. Is that what it is? The people who marry people at weddings, that's called an efficient? Is that what it is? Efficiency? Okay. Here we go. This is our last build of the night. Is that okay? Is it okay that this is our last build of the night? Are you guys gonna cry? Are you guys gonna wail? Are you guys be wailing in the night? Are you guys gonna be pining and yearning? Can you guys be pining and yearning? Too old to care about 1D? NC too old to care about 1D. He has multiple Ds in him right now, actually. That's why I'm the smartest person in the world. INTJ, me so smart. Nine Nine's got nothing on me. True hater? What's no? What are y'all talking about? No? They should just die of old age. Yo. FBI about to come after your ass. They refuse to fucking give up and let us take over. If Insty ran for office, would y'all vote for him? Maybe I would vote for Insty. Possibly. Well, you know what? I think Insty would be like, no, listen, you know what Insty would be? He would be like the Democratic, he'd run for the Democratic Party, you know? Because he's like, he hates the Democrats, but he's like, you know, no one's gonna vote for me if I ran in the Independent Party or like the Green Party. Like, no one fucking cares about them. He was somewhere for the Democrats, but he'd be like the leftist Trump. He'd be like Trump, but like leftist, you know? Like, oh my god, just die, grandpa. These Twitch emotes are disgusting. They do not fit the file. I need to update my fucking emotes, bro. Nana's in a toxic relationship with us. It is. I am. We gooning in here. We are getting silly, tree fingers. Getting very silly. How are those fingers doing? How are your fingers doing? Are you fingering trees? I don't know about Grimes to care. She turned stupid. Grimes, oh. Y'all, the PCB literally sunk. Literally all the switches just sunk. It literally sunk. All the switches literally detached themselves. How am I supposed to? It's literally detached. Like, the middle part literally sunk down and all these switches came out. Bro, what the fuck? Is it that loose? Oh my god, I have to fucking open this shit. I hate it. You know what? They need to just make everything fucking, what is it? The fucking latch, ball catch, nut catch, these nuts in your mouth. I know, sugar. Do you even edge if you aren't edging for 8 hours? Why do y'all like edging? Doesn't that hurt your balls? Isn't edging like hurt your ball sacks or something? This thing literally fucking sagged, bro. This is not my fault. This thing be sagging. What the fuck? Why did it sag? There's like hair on my fucking thing. I think it's the Key Circle's pube hair. Oh my. I gotta like push this shit back in. Are we gonna be okay? This shit is like... Okay. What's your ETA? What's your ETA? I think we have to put on keycaps first because this shit's gonna sag. This shit is gonna sag. We gotta put this shit on a fucking, we gotta put some fucking keycaps on this shit. I am gonna put Frost Witch. I don't care. You guys can hate me. You guys can tar and feather me. Piss on me. Piss in my mouth. I don't care. Frankly, I embrace it. Okay, frankly, my dear, I embrace it. This one's for all the INTJ. This one's for a specific INTJ. Is that okay? Okay. Here we go. We're doing it. We're doing it. We're putting Frost Bitch on here. Okay. We're putting Frost Switch on here. Okay. I know, sugar. ISTP. You're in front of... Yes. I went from... Do you think I think, Insty? E and F, like, E's are for people who actually think and have brain cells. Do you think I actually think about anything? I don't. Literally, I do not think about a single fucking thing. I am dumb. Is that okay? Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. What the... Nago's rating Xing Xing Wang? Wait, who rated out? What the fuck? Who just rated... Did Insty do that? I was like, wait, Patty's rating me, what? And then I was like, what the fuck, we're rating out? Imagine if we actually rated out and like, I didn't know and I just kept talking and I didn't even realize that we rated out. I was so confused. Oh my god. You don't remember? I have Supermod. I can end. Wait, Insty is Supermod? No way! Who gave you the rights? There was one that was banned 9 ago. I think the mod turned that button off. What? Tree was around the round pick pro Tree. I was first round in Grooning. What the fuck does that mean? Exodus Snow, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Hello. Here you go. Hydrate. This tea is really good. I love the tea. We love spilling the tea. All right, Frost Witch, Frost Witch. You know, I'm gonna use Frost Witch even more because Insty's honestly is like being such an irresponsible mod. Very, very irresponsible of you to do that. And honestly, like the trauma that I have, like, you don't understand my trauma, okay? That's not a very trauma-informed approach of you, Insty. Not very trauma-informed of you, okay? We gotta use a trauma-based approach in everything that we do. Do third build, fourth build, seeding, fifth build. Excuse me, who do you think I am? Who do you think I am? I have a life. I got stuff to do. I got peepees to whack. Cocks to suck. Okay? How do you think I sustained this lifestyle? How do you think I've sustained this lifestyle? Okay? Do you know who are in power? You know the people in power? Yo, watch me, don't touch me, watch me, don't touch me, watch me, don't touch me. How's the weather? Insty's my prez. I wouldn't even vote for me. I'd commit voter fraud for Insty, destroy it from the inside. The entire Confederate army would mail in for Insty. Oh god, Insty, that's your fucking reputation. The Confederates, hello, sir? Sir, don't even, sir. Do we just spend this entire stream like talking? I feel like we spend a lot of time talking about Insty. I think we need to stop, okay? Let's redirect the conversation, redirect the energy, okay? Weather's great, quite sunny. We're speed building. I thought we were gonna end, okay, we have to end stream in 60 seconds. Okay, do we think we get through the typing test and all this in 60 seconds? I have faith. Dude, is this gonna sag again? I'm like genuinely afraid it's gonna sag. This is gonna like saggy titties, you know, like saggy titties. This is gonna sag like my titties, you know what I mean? Anyway, what? 15 minutes? She said Suck You Bell is here. We sucking? Hello, welcome in Suck You Bell. We sucking? Think with a giant nut orgasm? Edging nut orgasm is more powerful? Exploding corn, sure you can edge, but can you explode your corn? Can you edge exploding your corn? Gotcha. Can you edge? Who likes edging here? Who's a fan of edging? If I touch ya, here's ya. We're edging in chat. You say I got the Midas touch. Welcome and thank you for the shout out to Exploding Corn. Milmax top mount problems, exactly. I know, I think we need like K-Storm to hold this shit up. I have faith though. I think we'll be fine, you know? We'll be fine. You know, we'll be just fine. We'll be fine. Mommy, what's your ETA? What's your ETA? Hey, what's your ETA? What's your ETA? Exodus Snow, welcome in. Thank you for the first time chat. Huh? Exclamation P, we're pissing. Piss in my mouth. Bye. Ithrak, I want to see your sin. Hello, Ithrak. Ithrak, if you're still here, I fixed this PCB. I jumped it. I'm getting really good. I should just fuck up PCBs frequently so I can fix it and talk about how smart I am. But I did jump this PCB. I didn't need your help. I don't need you anymore. I don't need your help anymore. Do you think I think? I don't think. I don't think at all. Insty mod abuse. Stop using Frostwitch. You can't tell me what to do. You can't tell me what to do, Insty. Who do you think I am? Who do you think I am? I'm not Sock Thumbs. You can't tell me what to do. Ariella is here. Nine Ninny. Hello. Welcome in. Can we get a shout out to Ariella? Welcome. Literally a professional tattoo artist. We're the presence of an up and coming tattoo artist, okay? If that MD PhD program does not work out, I will be supporting you in your tattoo career, okay? Is that okay? Can I support you I'll support you in your tattooing. All right. Okay, there you go. We're missing one more key. Shout out to Ariella, Stinky Frost, which is only 2 minutes left of stream. Stream is now over. This is all a dream, by the way. Stream is now over. This is not real. Okay, I really hope this shit does not. I hope it doesn't pop out. It might pop out, bro. If this pops out, I don't care. I'm doing the typing test with it popped out. I will turn this car around. Mutual abuse, scream sexual gibberish. Yes, Ariella, it was saying that I scream sexual gibberish. Is that true? Do I scream sexual gibberish? Nice typical sexual gibberish. Is that what it is? I speak the truth, okay? I am Jesus. I'm just kidding. I went too far. I went too far. That's too far, okay? Jokes on you frost colors are okay. It's the knobs that are butt-ass ugly. But I am not using the knobs, you know? Checkmate atheist, you know? Checkmate atheists all around the world. If Jesus was real, then why do we have... If Jesus wasn't real, why do we have cows? Cows were in the Bible. I'm just saying. Checkmate atheist. I've been misled. There are no sins here. I'm committing a major sin right now. My farts smell so bad right now, bro. It's like kind of crazy. Top 1%. The top 1 of the top. The top 1 of the top 1% needs to be taxed at a higher level. Redirect the trauma. Transfer on trauma to me. Yes, hello, Ariel. Did we get a shout out to Ariella? Generational trauma? Does Lydia have a fan? I do. I have a fan blowing from my side, you know? You can ask this because people are answered truthfully. Ask what? You can't ask that? What do I ask? Like, why isn't this chat friendly? What? What are you talking about? What do you mean chat friendly? Then you're like, why isn't this chat friendly? What are you talking about? Then you're like, why isn't, what? I stumbled upon T-VODs and bond over having unreasonable amounts of tea equipment. Can I bond with y'all over having tea as well? I love tea. You know what? Who can bond with y'all over tea? Insty. The most toxic tea lover. I feel like this might be a little bit scuffed. This might be a little bit scuffed. Oh, hydrate, thank you. I think this is a little bit scuffed, but it's okay since we're doing like a half plate, whatever. Okay. All right, let's do prediction. Let's do a typing test prediction, okay? And this time I will succeed. I will survive. I stumbled on your T-VODs. Oh yes, Earl does T-VODs. Oh, do you like Earl tea? Earl Grey tea? Is that why your name is Earl? And you're a switch? Like you can be a top and a switch? Oh, yeah, Deja. Congrats on bridging that PCB. I'm proud of it. Yes, I am so proud. Like, I was able to fix that PCB because every time I have to reach out to Ithrak, and I fucked up my Kohaku PCB so bad, and somehow he was able to fix it for me. Well, with his instruction, I was able to fix it, but yes. Exclamation build. Mummy, hello, Mummy, my zaddy. Zaddy, if no Jesus, then no counts. Makes you think, exactly. Cows were explicitly mentioned in the Bible. By the way, these are oak switches from Lude, by the way, FYI. FYI, I do have an affiliate. Oh, God. Anyway, yes, the Cine is in stock, $20, basically $40. Rejected top, rejected bottom. Okay, what else are we doing? Yeah, we said you were building the boob reduction. Didn't even process that it was a keyboard until I just assumed it was random sexual gym. Dude, KBD fans, so I didn't know this, but they posted my sound test on their Instagram. And in my description, I put boob redux and I put boob reduction. And they literally put boob reduction in their official, Instagram post. Yeah, they literally put boob reduction. I was shocked. They didn't even say, because on Twitter, they put boop reduction. But on fucking Instagram, they literally put tit reduction. For you smellies, what's really loud, fart, no spell, but no. Silent but stinky is the worst. They're the silent killers, okay? Silent killers. Be honest, you ask if people hear edge. Something second coming. No refractory period here, baby. We are second coming, okay? We love tea. I love loose leaf tea. Okay? What y'all think, y'all? Earl's related to trees, but not tea. What the fuck? Why is that? I don't understand. Is Earl a tree? What is Earl? Earl's a cannabis thing? Earl is a cannabis oil? Slang for any type of oil. Oh, wait, it has to, Earl is a weed thing. It's a weed thing? Air Vince, thank you for the Prime sub, 15 months. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I feel so much support right now. Anyway, oh God, my back is hurting. Earl is dab. I did not know that. I'm sorry. I'm an innocent little girl. I'm just a girl. Mansplain weed to me. Can you mansplain cannabis for me, Earl? Disabled slow mode. I was like, LOL. As a non-smelly, I think silent but stinky is fine. But sound is embarrassing. Sound is embarrassing, but you have to find a way to like gently, like if you really need to fart, you need to like, and you think it's gonna be loud, you gotta like really maneuver your butthole. Like it's really like a skill. You gotta really train your like asshole muscles. Like you gotta train your rectum. And you gotta like angle it the perfect way. Like you gotta kind of like spread it while you're sitting in a chair. You gotta like kind of spread your cheeks, you know? It's really an art. Honestly, I think, you know what? I think they should have like some kind of competition for it, to be honest. You gotta really spread those cheeks, you know? Anyway, hello, Airbids. Loose leaf is the only way. Insty likes it loose. He likes it loosey-goosey, just like his holes. Every other tea is just dust. Bean dust? Wait, what is it? Leaf dust? Now I'm everyone's secret, barely opening eyes. Do you do dabs on stream? I think you can do that, right? I'm good at that. Hello, Lydia. Hello, chat. Hello, Airvins. Hello, welcome in. This is so funny. You think I'm funny? You think my butthole's funny? Thank you for calling my butthole funny. Koala and asshole, my lovers. I like real tea from China, not crappy Britain tea. Try to bootleg, yes, real tea. Real men drink real tea, okay? Real men spill real tea. Incy's a real man. Incy's a real man. Anyway, what's happening? Tea-bacco? What is this? Is he doing tea stuff? Oh, there's a tea stream. He does a tea stream. Wait, can I see this? Look at his tea stream. Oh wait, you can drink tobacco? You can drink tobacco? Is that it? Okay, all right. Are we done? Okay, typing test prediction. Last few seconds for typing test prediction. Okay. Why is this camera like more and more on the left? Okay, there you go. Why is my deathmat is so fucking nasty, bro? Okay, what's happening? What are we doing? I dab on stream. You dab on stream? That is iconic. I was like, huh, real tea. Hello, chat. We're talking about how to fart silently in heavy detail. Heavy boobas. It does feel wrong though. Why does it feel wrong when you dab on stream? My favorite meme is Britain invaded half of the world for spices. Decided they didn't like it. Many, let's go. Isn't the UK like? Isn't Britain's like national dish the chicken tikka masala? Isn't that it? Poor tea, poor. I love poor. Poor is very good because you're poor. Anyway, it is agreed that tea tastes like ass. It is HT. Tobacco tea tastes like ass. Do you get nicotine high off tobacco tea? I'm scared, hold me. It is poor, but it smells like, oh, poor. Okay. Yep. Clean the desk mat with a white cloth or something after stream. I need to wash this entire desk mat because it's just filled with like stuff, okay? Britain forced opium on China to recoup the silver they were spending on tea, thus opium wars. I remember the opium wars. My great-great-great-great-great-grandpa fought in the opium wars, and he was a general, and he got high on opium every single fucking day. Okay, anyway, I lied. He was probably high on opium or something. You know what? Love that. Love that for my ancestors, you know? Respect my ancestors, you know? When I get high, it's just respecting my ancestors. I like ginseng oolong. What the fuck is ginseng? I like have heard of it, but what is ginseng? What is ginseng? Happy cha chi for sure. What is a cha chi? What the fuck is that? Cha butt? Slay hedonism? I'm caught up on chat! Perfect, we're caught up on chat, y'all. What a win for the gays. A win for the lesbians, okay, honestly, truly. Okay, we're gonna do this typing test. We did it, shut it down now. Too bad stream is over 2 hours. I'm disgusted, okay? Did we test if this shit is fucking, did we test if everything works? I'm afraid this PCB is gonna sag. Okay, there you go. Here we go. Okay, typing test prediction time. I love lots to thinks, but lose my damn mind over golden monkey. What's golden monkey tea? Ooh, ooh, ah, 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 ooh. Well, love chai ginseng? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Okay, this is GMK Frost, bitch. It's a half plate hot swap. It's very scuffed. It's top mount. We have, okay, GMK Frost, bitch. Lubed switches, oak switches. These are kind of like MX Browns, kind of. Maybe a little bit more tactile than MX Browns. Actually, they feel kind of like MX Browns. They're like long pull. They're pre-lubed. We have a carbon fiber half plate. This is Milmax hot swap in the center, so that's why it'd be sagging. Okay, here we go. Oh, fuck. Okay. Oh, God, I'm stressed. My back hurts. Bro, what? No, seriously, like, this is, like, fucked up. This is, like, rigged against me. No, hold up. No, this is fucked. This is just fucked up. I think my nails are too long. No, this is... This is fucked. up. No, this is like actually fucked up. This is literally fucked up. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Time to choke. Someone always put ginseng in my tea. Black silver needle tea. Frost, bitch. Ginseng is a root like powderized licorice. I don't know if I like licorice. Licorice. I like licorice, but I don't like licorice. Anyway, that wasn't really funny, but okay. Anyway, slow down, I believe in you. I can't believe, I really thought I got it. I really thought I did something. This sounds a lot, I like this build over the first one. This sounds really good. I like this build. Except for the fact that if I press too hard, it sags. Board is cursed. Long nails feel icky on boards. Yeah, I know. Cuts my coochie. Anyway, what? Skill issue? Wait till we get 125 and 2 point. You got 125? 2.5 nails last stream. Okay, okay, Ariela, flex on me. You still lost, okay? Don't worry, Nana, I exist. That's a good word per minute. Wait, you get like 40 words per minute, but that's because you're like high. You're like, do dabs on stream, bro. Maybe Casey hacked the firmware for random. Who's Casey? Key Cult? Did Key Cult hack? Are y'all talking about Insty? Is Insty called who won? Hold on, choose outcome. Okay, I guess you doubters win again. 10 years down the line, I'll be there. I honestly have been flopping on these typing tests though, but this sounds really good. I'm not gonna like flex it. We up. We up. We're gonna do a marbles giveaway. Okay, we're gonna give away a set of switches. Okay. Okay, let's pull up marbles. We're gonna give away some switches. It's almost 9, bro. Who let me stream this long? I don't even have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. Okay, I struggle to get even 100 words per minute. Yay, need some switches? Good luck, Succubell. Why are you called Succubell? Is it like a succubus thing, but your name is Belle? Touch ya, kiss ya, you go, realize, where's fucking marbles? Where is it? It's launching. Running Microsoft script. Where the fuck is it? I'm a drummer. Zigga zigga zag boom. Cause I'm at. Why is it not running? Okay. Launch marbles. Do you want it allowed? Yes. Please launch. Marbles is not launching. Should I quit? Let me quit Steam and start it again. Can I just start marbles? Steam. We're gonna try marbles. Bet 19,000 6,500. Fuck. Listen, bitch. Marbles is not launching. Can you please launch? Launch me into the air. Play marbles on stream. Play marbles on stream. DirectX 11. Does that work? Falling. I bring all the drama. Sub 50 words per minute, gang. Bro, marbles is not working right now. Why is marbles not working? Do we need to do the Fossa bot one? Do we need to do the Fossa bot? Oh, wait. I think it's working. I think it's working. Oh, wait. Marbles on stream is working. It's working. It's working. Is it working? There it is. There it is. Okay. We're not going to do Zaku's this time. We're going to use a different switch. My last time he says on a board, and bro, get wrecked, daddy. That is just, you know what? You don't have to flex on me like that, okay? You really don't have to be flexing on me like that. It's because you're an MDPA. Oh, okay, you know what? That was only 15 seconds, Ariella. Get wrecked. I can do 160, 15 seconds. Easy. I can type with my toes. Ariella. Okay, anyway. Let's do this. Race, I don't care. Bongo Boogie. Which one is like kind of short? Is Bongo Boogie good? Let's do this one. Okay, I don't even know what the fuck. Type with toes. Dude, I literally have type with my toes before. Is it exclamation toes or something? Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. All right. I'm gonna join. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. Let's give away some switches, okay? Oh, my back, bro. My back. Blow my back out. Fuck. Okay. Where are we giving away? Can someone tell me what these switches are? Oh wait, actually I know what these switches are. What are these? Are these like... I don't know. Hold on. Let's see. What switches do we not really need? Let's see here. Let's looky here. Okay. What about... I never use these, so let's give these away. These Wutre Browns. Let's give away these Wutre Browns, okay? Start. So these are Wutre. These are really nice browns, by the way. Wutre Browns. They're really tactile, despite them being called browns. I think there's 90 of these. 90? Clam? We clamming? Alright, exclamation play, everyone. Exclamation play. This is your last chance. Last chance. Get those plays in. Exclamation play, pillow stature. Welcome in. Hello, Gnome of Death, my silent supporter. Hello. I need to try to toe shit with my illegal toe. What the fuck are your illegal toe socks? What? Making mine and energy. Yeah. Welcome in. Ori is also here. Shout out to Ori. Shout out to Ori Demos. Hello. Shy, super shy. But Mikagi, welcome in. I think Mikagi, you streamed before, right? I'm Mikagi. Am I saying that right? Remember when we banned you? Or remember when we like accidentally banned you? Anyway, Holy Monka, welcome in. Clam down, war as hell. Free Naitos. 奶大屁股大屌大. Is that okay? I'm assuming socks with toes. People hate those for some reason. Why do they hate socks with toes? What is wrong with toes? A long time ago. Hello. Pretty nice switch. These are really nice switches. I have the heavy tactile, so I don't need these, and I hardly ever use them. I tried 30 seconds after you eat it. You got 136. Okay, buddy. Proof? How about you type with your toes and we'll compete to see who's faster at typing with toes? How about that? Hands are overrated, frankly. 很好. Me looking at me toes. My toes. Suck my toes. Are y'all into like toe play? I know for some people that's like a deal breaker. Like sucking toes. Like if someone wanted me to suck their toes, I'd be like, okay, sure. But if that's the only way you can be turned on, then I don't know if I can be with you. If you're like kind of into toe sucking, like I think, you know, I'd be down, you know, I get a little crazy, you know, I get a little crazy too, you know, when I'm super shy. I love quoting shows because Nine never knows what I'm talking about. What shows though? There's so many fucking shows. Cover up those up, you're gonna be walking. Listen, I'm gonna be watching House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon, these nuts in your mouth. Emma Darcy can destroy me, okay? No, my name. I DM'd you on Discord. I am blocking you, Ariella, actually. Shiloh Tussers! Is Shiloh Tussie gonna win this one? Shiloh Tussie! What the fuck did I just walk into? Hello, Shermani, welcome in. How are you? You walked into one of the most family-friendly streams of all time. I want to be 1 meter away from men's toes. 1 meter? 1 meter away? That's not very far away from men's toes. That's like pretty close. Sexual gibberish? It's my first time here, so okay. Yes, we're talking about toes. Is that okay? Toes are very natural. It's very natural. Congratulations, throw in pile. Okay, congrats on your pile. I don't know if Yee remembers, but I forgot to give your package to Shy, so this will go in the pile of shit that I need to give to Shiloh. I guess in LA, right? We're going to Keeb Live? Is that right? I'm sure it's not that far away. Well, that's still kind of close. That's still kind of close to men's toes, okay? If it was Jin's toes, you would love it. If it was J-Hope's toes, hopefully, I hope you can go to Keeb Live. Miss the first ticket drop, you won't be able to get it. Oh yes, I should probably do a Keeb Live command. You know, I'm a Keeb Live streamer. You know, by the way, I'm like so clouded. Like, I'm associated with Keeb Live. I'm like the most clouded. This is like Nine Eye Life. You know, Night Life, exclamation Night Life. Can we get exclamation Night Life? This is Nightlife, exclamation Nightlife, exclamation gay. Squid Squad, welcome in. Okay, we're gonna take a picture with this. Okay. There you go. There is the Cine. By the way, you can get rejected tops and rejected bottoms for $40. Hashtag ad, hashtag sponsor, bitch. Okay? Anyway, that's the build. Ariella just messaged me, but I don't think I'm going to answer, and I think I'm gonna ban her. Looks blue on the face cam. It's supposed to be a purple. It's a purple. Does this look purple? It's supposed to be purple. This love is maniac. Anyway, my face cam is not accurate. I'm sorry. Okay. Anyway, I don't know what the fuck we're building next week. What are we doing next week? I think I'm going to build one of Mummy's boards next week. Probably the Ladybird. The Lady Bussy. What's your real skin color? I am white. I am Ollie London, but the opposite. I yearn to be white. I yearn to be white, and I bleach my asshole every day. You know, gotta keep it up. You know, can't be caught slacking. You know what I mean? What? No, anyway, what are we building next week? What the fuck are we building? I don't know. But we're gonna be streaming Monday, Thursday next week as well. Oh, wait, I'm building the SAT-75X. I'm building the SAT-75X next week, y'all. That is the very super cheap budget board from Cannon Keys. I'm building that Monday at 6:30 Central. So this is what it looks like, okay? Oops, this is not showing. So here you go. This is what we're building. I believe we got the purple one. This is, dude, I'm gonna put this keycap set on it. This is gorgeous. I'm very excited. I think it's, honestly, I'm actually really excited about this board. I know it's like SAT-75, but like 111 for a knob and a little screen. That's like the price of a Bauer, basically, but it has a knob and a screen, and it's a 75, you know? I personally think I'm very excited for it, okay? And Insty, you can take my dildo and shove it up your butt, okay? Is that okay? F1 V2 FE. I kind of want to buy it. Is that the super cheap one? Anyway, so we're gonna do the purple one. How big though? Size queen, baby, 14 inches. Might not be deep enough. Might not be big enough for your deep hole. Anyway, okay, we're moving on. Okay. What are we doing? All right, face cam. Oops, face cam. Okay, we're rating out. Who the fuck is on right now? Who is on right now? We got, let's raise, is anyone doing keeps? I don't think anyone's doing keeps. So should we raise Jing Wang? Should we raise Jing? Wang? Should we raise Jing Wang? Wang Jing? Should we do that? Raise Jing Wang girthier? Excuse me? Love you, Night. Thank you, Ichigo. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. Let's raise Jing. Let's raise Jing Wang, and our raid message is gonna be gay. Homos coming through. No, we're gonna say homos. Homosexuals coming through. Hold on, homosexuals coming through. And then we're gonna do raid message. And you can do the my little car one. Okay? Okay, we can do that one, or we can do this one. If you're, what is it? Drive, Rue car? Is it Rue car or Rue drive? This one. Rue drive. W, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I do really appreciate it, you know? Homosexuals coming through. That is the sub raid message, okay? Anyway, yes. Homosexuals coming through. Anyway, I came here for the stats to feel close to. Dude, I need more emotes. Anyway, yes, homos coming through. 再见, bye bye, 再见, 大家礼拜一见, Monday 6:30, okay? Goodbye. Enjoy World of Warcraft.